Hey y'all.
I'm back again with another journal. Um, and if you've watched any of my videos at all, this is something very different from me or for me to make, and I've been inspired by so many different people who do very vintage type things, very vintage journals, and layering and different fabrics and laces and stuff like that. You know, I love my children's books, but I like to do something different every now and then. And I started this cover a long time ago. I probably made this cover over a year ago. And then I just kind of got stuck, like my inspiration, how I had started it and the pages I put in it. It just wasn't working for me, so I just had to set it aside. And here lately, I have been watching RubyandPearlxo. I happened across her channel. I don't know how she just came up in my feed, but I think she's been on YouTube for a couple of years now. Not a super long time, but I really, really love her style of the way she uses vintage items and vintage printables and the vintage wallpapers and stuff. And I had some of that stuff in my stash. And, you know, you just kind of have to get inspired to do something different. I think all of us kind of get in this, sometimes we kind of get in this one zone and we kind of stay there. So I challenge myself because I do love the really vintage cool things, and I have collected a lot of stuff. And I also want to make some wedding albums for both of my kids. And then Brittany and Kelly are planning on getting married next year. And yeah, my kids, they have kids, but they're not married yet. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Some people might have a problem with that. I don't. I just want my kids to be happy. So anyway, but I've got some ideas and I've collected some things, and I bought a lot of stuff from Renee, and gathering those supplies for those types of journals. And then I have some really cool covers that I have showed you guys that I was going to work on. And initially I was going to paint. I think I'm going to keep, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those yet. Anyway, so I'm babbling now. But anyhow, I've been watching, like I said, I've been watching, I think her name's Heather over at Ruby and Pearl, and she really inspired me to take this journal in a little bit different direction than what I was going with it. So I pulled all the scrapbook paper that I was going to use out. There's no scrapbook paper in here. Everything in here is, other than like the tea dyed, so there's tea dyed and avocado dyed paper from Renee. And then all of these things are things I have collected. Now this picture on here is a printable, but everything else on here is vintage. This doily right here might be a little bit newer, but all of these little flowers on top of this flower are from the linen, not linen, the hanky that I used in here for pockets. So these were little appliques, those little flowers right there. And my camera, I get my camera to focus. Anyway, so the majority of this stuff on here is vintage. This was a printable, and I can't remember where I got that photo. But then I bound it in using like a gray wax linen thread, and then I took some of my vintage buttons that are the shank buttons, and I tied those onto the spine. And that also was not my original idea. I actually saw Johanna do that on the journal a while back. But it's covered, the base of this is a vintage quilt that I found, and it's been a couple of years ago that I found that. So that was the base, and then I added all this to it. So this journal is about the size of a little golden book. It is 6.5 by 8, and then the spine is about 2 inches. And she's chunky, but she's squishy, you know. I love the feel of this journal. I really am pleased with how it came out. I hope you guys like this. When this video goes up, it will be available in my shop. I'm trying to refocus it. So there's a lot of stuff tucked in here, a lot of vintage things. I think if you take some of those things out, it won't be quite as, you know, to use that I put in here for you. It won't be quite as chunky, but I love the way this turned out. I really do. I'm very happy with it. And then this was the original ribbon that I had on it. I'm not sure where, this was in my stash, but I just like the feel of this. And then I just clipped a skeleton key. This is a true vintage little skeleton key. Sorry, I hit my camera. It's not one of the rounded ones, it's one of the flat ones. But it's really cool. So I just took the little bowl pin and clipped it onto the ribbon. So you can move that around. Okay, so that's the tie. And then here's a little sneak peek. This is a tray full of extra goodies that will come with this journal. I'm not going to go through every one of these little things. There's some buttons and some little some of the other little tiny paper clips, bowl pins, an old thread, a couple of my handmade buttons there, and some other scraps and laces. And this is actually, there's some of this in the journal. This is an antique lace. Okay, so you'll get another little piece of that. Little milk cap. Anyway, you're going to get this whole tray of extra goodies, okay? So inside, let's make sure I'm in frame. Let me move my buttons out of the way. So inside here, the front cover, this is the old napkin that I used. I've got threads everywhere. And with the applique on it. And my light's not great, I'm sorry guys. And then I attached a little bowl pin with a little bead, and this is a vintage button here, possibly antique. I'm not sure about the age of that. It was really cute. And then this is a vintage sheet that I backed in here. So this is covered, this is a box. This is like a cracker box that's covered, but it's really flexible. This is what I use to make my painted journals out of, like my snowman journals. And it gives you a good base, but it's flex. It's got some flex to it. So in here, there are, I made a little note, there are 114 pages, okay, if you just count like this, okay? So if you double that if you count the front and back, and then the flip outs that are in here. This is a couple of pages from my old letter that I got from one of my customers a while back. She had a bunch of stuff available. Some of the wallpapers that are in here, I think I got from her. I bought some things from her. She had a bunch of stuff she was asked me if I was interested in, so I bought a bunch of things from her, and that's been a while back. So this is a Edith Holden page, and then I just extended it with some tea-dyed paper and stitched some lace on there. This is a really nice vintage ledger. This is original. It's not a copy. It's not a digital. And I'm not sure, I can't remember if I got that from Jessica or Renee. Now this came in one of the big stitch kits, sewing kits that I bought from Renee. This is from a magazine. And I thought it was really cool, the ads in here. So I just folded it up. I just folded it up here so you can tuck things down in here. This is a doily. Some deli paper. Some graph paper that I tea-dyed. And then this came from a book, I believe, that Dawn sent me, called The Book of Comfort and Joy. And then I took a piece of vintage lace here and glued it on and then stitched it just to give it a tab. This came from a book that Chastity sent me, and this is actually the electric refrigerator menus and recipe. I love this book. I love the feel of this. It's not... it's just a nice feeling paper. It's got a little bit of a slick, but it's not glossy. And it is from, this is 19, y'all, my eyes are getting bad. 1927. Yep, 1927. And I love the little images in it too. So here is a piece of avocado dyed paper from Renee, and then I took one of my photographs, and I've collected some old photographs over the years. I thought this one was really cute with these two ladies and their babies. Y'all know how I love babies. And then this vintage little sleeping car, so it's like a railroad ticket. And then the cover of one of the, and a couple of stamps from one of the greenback saver stamps. And I just tucked these in here, the paper clips, so you could move them around and use them wherever you wanted to. And then that flips out. And then this is from a quilting book. So this is not quite as old as some of the other things in here, but it's still vintage. Some sewing. This is from a vintage sewing book. So this is kind of like, I mean, I don't really like put a so-called theme to it, but this is similar to that binder, to like the homemaker, what I would say a homemaker's type book, or the homebodies type things like Gina over at the Ruby Bookery does. So it's a mixture of sewing and cooking and clothing and you know, florals and, you know, just stuff like that. Because this is from a cookbook. I really like this pewter stuff in here. I think it's really cool. My mom used to have some of that. I wish I still had it. And then here, this paper is from, I think one of those vintage, like, Golden Book encyclopedias, like the flyleaf page. It's really nice texture paper. And then this is from, Jessica Rapp sent me a bunch of these, like, pharmacy type prescription things. They're really cool, and she had backed them on you know, tea-dyed paper. So I tore some of those up and made some pockets, made a pocket out of this one. And this is a little graphics fairy printable, a little Rolodex card, just a little bag, you know, a little coin envelope that you can use. And then, oh, I need to fix that. I need to glue that back down. And then this is a tag that I made using some vintage wallpaper, vintage ledger, and then this is actually some, I don't know what you call that kind of paper. It's thin. It's almost like a sewing paper, but it came in a kit that I bought from Rosemary. There was little pieces of it. So I'm going to pull that out because I need to glue that back down a little bit better right here. But, yeah. So I just made a tag out of that, and I used... sewing machine's giving me a little bit of a fit here, but I used a file folder on the back. I didn't decorate the back because I figured you could journal, you know, left that for you to journal. But this was one of, I can't remember if Heather did, I think Heather did these two, these kind of layered tags. And I was inspired by her. It might have been, there might have been somebody else. There's somebody else I've been watching too, a couple other ladies. Anyhow, and I apologize. I'll try to look them up and make sure that I put their links below so you can go watch them. So these are some printables from the Graphics Fairy. This is from an Ideals book. This is tea-dyed paper from Renee. And then here's some vintage lace and a vintage doily that I just kind of crazy stitched on. And then I added one of my little bead dangles there, which I really like doing that. I think it's so pretty. It adds so much to a book. And then this page, so this was kind of a, let me figure out what to do here because it was in the middle of this signature. And when I stitched it, it cracked. So I still wanted it in here because I love this. I love this from from an Ideals magazine. So what I did was I just kind of tipped it in. I reinforced it with some washi, and then I took some. I was trying to reinforce it in the signature, and I took some of this. This came from this old postage book that I picked up in postage stamp book that I picked up in Texas, and let me show you. So in this book, and I have a ton of stamps in here, but a lot of them are stuck. So I've got to figure out how to get them out. But if you'll see, like in between, and I pulled all those pages out, in between each one of these was one of these kind of, this paper. What do you call it? It's almost like a vellum, but it's thinner than vellum. Anyway, so what I did was I tore some pieces of that, of one of those, because I love it looks like that vintage, you know, tape that everybody's been making. So I glued some of that down, and then I took, and it was still ripping, so I took a little bit of masking tape, and I tried to get it back in there, but I couldn't, so then I just tipped it in. So I just tipped it in with some masking tape on that side and that side, because I wanted it to kind of look old. I wasn't quite sure that this would create that reinforcement that I needed. So anyway, I just made this a tip in there and added a little bit of like this linen fabric. And I think this will be really cool if you added some little buttons here. But I had already, this thing was already getting pretty chunky, so I didn't want to keep doing that. So I figured I'd let whoever, wherever home this goes to, I wanted you to be able to do some things too. I still left a lot of blank space in here for writing and that kind of stuff. So I put some vintage buttons in this signature, and then this flips out, and this is some vintage wallpaper here, and this is actually a pocket up here for you to tuck things in. And then I reinforced this with some more vintage lace, and this is a clip-on vintage earring right here. And I love the color, and I thought that would look really cute right there. But you can move that around. And then on this side, I put another little bead dangle down here. And when I did the wallpaper, I just folded it up. So like I took this piece and then folded it up so you could get a little piece of that on this side. And this wallpaper came from Rosemary. This is a piece of really textured, it feels really cool. This came in one of her little kits that I bought. And I had bought that kit. It was the little egg crate kit that she had, the little farmhouse little egg crate. Excuse me, I needed to swallow my coffee. That I bought to use the things in it. They made some little journals. Whoever bought those kits made little journals out of those little egg crates. I'm just using it to store stuff in. But anyway, so that came from Rosemary. And then these were some things I had. There's a vintage, really old check here. Yeah, 1937. And then here's a little receipt from a grocery store. And this doesn't have a, 1945. So I stuck those in here. I have collected some really cool stuff, and I just haven't used it. And then this is 1943. These were some little stamp things I bought from Patty Lang. I have a bunch of those. So you could use that in collage in the journal somewhere, or just keep it in there like that. And this was another Ideals, more kind of grungy tea-dyed paper, just not as dark. And then on this one I took, this is tea-dyed paper, no, what is this? This is a cookbook page, and what I did on this side was, I didn't really like this side, so I took some of my old ledger that I have that's, and glued it on there, and then stapled this little slide. And this came from Jessica Rapp in some Happy Mail a while back. And then this was a tea-dyed envelope. I just kept it blank on this side, and then what I did was I just folded up some little scraps left over. I didn't attach it in any way. I just kind of folded it over so you can use it. Just tucked it in the envelope, okay? And then, so that creates a little tuck on this side. So this is a scrap of the vintage wallpaper that I tucked in here. Then this is the other side of the signatures. This right here, this is the other side of that quilt book page. Took a piece of wallpaper and covered that up, and then the scrap, just kind of put it there as reinforcement. Didn't really need that, but just some extra interest. just trying to use up, trying to use up all the stuff that I pulled out to make this book. Anyway, so just a ton of stuff, like a ton of stuff in here. Really cool pages. Other side of this ledger, I just added a little piece of vintage. This is like a vintage doily piece. I thought that looked pretty there. So that's the first signature, and then the second signature, this is from another floral book, and I'm not sure what book this came from. This has a little bit more of that glossy texture, but it's not shiny. Just extended it, extended that page with some tea-dyed paper, music paper. This is another flyleaf page, another one of those little prescription pieces. So I figured you could decide which side of this you wanted to use. This side's pretty cool. And, make another pocket or whatever. On this page came from another really old magazine. I like this lady here and the silverware and stuff. And this is a piece of a wedding dress that I had cut out pieces of and I tea-dyed. So I thought that would be pretty there. And then on the other side, I just tucked in a little rickrack cover, little vintage. You can tell how old that is because it's 15 cents for 4 yards. And then stapled a little button, some buttons to it. And then this is from my quilting. And then I covered this up with another page of that floral. More tea-dyed. And then this came, this I think came from Renee too. It was like a digital. And I just stitched it on here. So you can journal up underneath here. You can tuck things up underneath there. So this is just really a lot of different things in this journal. So this is some Tim Holtz ephemera right here. A little lady in a, oh my gosh, a little tag, and then, or label. And then I have some recipes. Like I have quite a few like old recipe books. And then Renee sent me a little, in some of her Happy Mail that she sent me, if you watch that video, she sent me this little recipe box that had a bunch of old, written recipes. So I tucked a few of those in here. Because this is on the recipe page. So this would be kind of like someone who's just collecting, all kinds of different things that she loves, or, I'm not good at kind of making a story to it. You can put your own story with it. My imagination I don't have that kind of imagination. I feel like I have a creative mind, but not that type of creative mind. So I also made a bookmark. This I bought, I think maybe this might have been one of Brooke's live sales. I bought some of this ribbon, which is, they call it Sorry. Anyway, I took a little vintage chandelier bead and then a vintage button on the other side. So you can see that. You can see that of the bookmark. And then in here, in this page, there is a vintage card that's a happy cheery birthday. It has not been written in. Well, there you go. It was written right here, but you can see it's embossed. Really, really pretty card that you can use in here. You can use it like that, make a pocket, cut it out, whatever. And then here's a little piece of that antique lace. And then this is a pocket as well with some vintage wallpaper. Vintage recipe book, and then there's more, like really cool. Look at this. I love this paper. So there's a cherry cake recipe in here. Yeah. It says for Chandler. Yeah, really cool. And then another one. Oh, got a little piece. And then another one on this side. It's some kind of cookie. Peanutties? Yeah, it looks like it's called Peanutties. And it was just kind of folded up like that, so I just sort of left it like that. Tucked it in there. Here is another vintage wallpaper. This is a pocket that I made. I'll do this. This is a pocket I made out of, this is vintage wallpaper that I found at an estate sale when I went to visit Phaedra in Texas a couple of years ago. And then I just tucked there's another cool recipe in here. This is typed out on some, and there's just some written, it's just a really cool little piece of paper. And there's something typed on here, but I can't really see because my eyes are terrible. Yeah, it's another recipe, but look at that. It's like a faded purple. I'm sure it was probably blue or black at one time. Anyway, and then there's another little stamp and these are true vintage little train checks and baggage claim tickets. And then another tag that I made, and that just stuck in here. So I thought, I really kind of wanted to do something with this, but I just love this the way it is. So I thought, you know, whoever gets this, you can put the pocket wherever you want, if you want it in another project, or, and I have a ton with these little tiny paper clips, do y'all? Like, I got these big hands, there we go. Anyway, all that's just clipped in for you to use wherever you want to use that. And this paper is also a fly leaf page. I love the color of it. And then this is a little vintage like ticket stub. So it's got the two, you know, it's like the little carbonated. And then this is from Phaedra sent me a couple of these a while back, and they're little field message notes, and I think they're from World War I, she said. So they're old. Avocado dyed, a recipe. On this page, like, I love this part of it, but some of the images I wasn't crazy about, so I just took this. This was a large, kind of like a placemat. That I had tea dyed, so I took a piece of that and I just made it into a big pocket where you can put more things. Yeah, and this video might be kind of long, y'all. I'm just trying to tell you what all's in here. I made this little pocket with a little bit of wallpaper and some of that little tissue paper. It's like a tissue paper that Rosemary sent. And then this is a vintage, really old card. This is really cool. These are like, oh, what do you call them? It says, a true woman, a friend is a friend in need. These are little, they're not like tarot cards, but they're like little prediction cards, or I don't know what you call them. My brain's not working. And these are two little printables from the graphics fair. I didn't back them. I just printed them and cut them out. So you can make these into, you know, whatever you want. You can add ledger on the back. I'm going to send you, you know, some little pieces of things you can use, papers. And then here on the other side of this page from the magazine, I just folded over a little ticket, punched a hole, and added one of these vintage inventory tags, and then a little metal tag that Jessica sent me. And here, this is another thing that I got from Heather at Penny and Rose, Pearl and, oh my gosh, am I saying it wrong now? Anyway, this was another idea I got from her, and I'm going to link her in the video. But so this is like a book page and then another book page, and you fold it over to make a pocket, and you can either stick it on the page and have it flip out. But what I did was I glued it here and made it a tuck spot, and then a pocket, you know, and a pocket, okay? And then this is actually a little, well, I think I glued that in there. There's a little tag in there. And some other little pieces. A little Tim Holtz girl, another vintage train check. This is a little graphics fairy printable. And then this is Tim Holtz, little pieces. This is truly vintage, okay? This little ticket, Pennsylvania Railroad. This is a vintage cap. And then I think I got that from Johnny at Junk Journal Shop. And then this was some ledger, railroad ledger, a piece of it that Jessica Rapp sent me that I got from her. And then some shorthand out of a shorthand book that I have, and another piece of vintage wallpaper. So a lot of these things, some things people have sent me, and then some things I have purchased. So this is a good mix of a lot of different. This is a mix of a lot of different things, a lot of different shops. So this is a piece of that paper that was in the postage stamp book. Here's another recipe, and I tucked it here because this says from Mama's Kitchen cookbook. Some music, and then here's another little piece that I made with some wallpaper and vintage lace, and I just glued this and made it a tuck. So there's a this is from a paper line, and I believe that's a Craft Consortium paper line. This is a vintage piece here, Pillsbury Blue Ribbon Recipes. Oh, there we go. So it opens up like this, but it was folded like that. And then this is a page from a French. This I bought from Patty Lang a long time ago, and I've shared some of it with Jessica, and I've used some of it, and I've just kind of been hoarding it because I love it. I made some buttons out of it. I think, yeah, this button is actually made from a piece of this. Okay. And this was a French hymnal, and that's the size of it, but I stuck a piece of that in here for you to use in the book or in collage. Here I made a pocket with some other wallpaper. And then I love this vintage photo. This is one of the favorite ones I've ever found. I think it says Sally. I took this, I can't read the rest of it. My eyes are, I've got an eye appointment on Monday, y'all. My eyes are getting bad. But, so this, I just clipped her in there. Put this little doily flower and some buttons. And then in this pocket, there is a really cute vintage little thank you card with the embossed flowers on it. Well, fumble fingers. Anyway, and it opens up. So, it says, such a tiny thank you card can only hold a part of the appreciation that comes straight from my heart. I thought this was really cute, and it tucked in that pocket really well. So. And then I just kind of stuck her down here like that. I love this photo. I love these old photos I've got with some women I really like. Another, this was from a sewing book. This was vintage. I thought it was cute with the little girl on it. And then this little piece, I hope I'm in frame. This little piece of vintage lace and another little bead. And then here, I think this came in some stuff Jessica sent me as directions for the syllable game. So I thought this was kind of cool in here. I put that. And then this is from Florence. This is a printable. And I think that was also, I'm not sure, that might be from Rachel at Roxy Creations. And then this came from a paper line, that Craft Consortium, these ladies. So more cooking, sewing. These are kind of side pockets, buttons in the signature. I know I'm taking forever, y'all. I just want you to see all the fun stuff in here. There's another little bead dangle here, and I just clipped in another Tim Holtz lady. And this you could use as a tuck, and then there's a little pocket here. And then this piece of wallpaper I just did as a flip. So you can totally, do whatever you want to with that. More vintage recipe pieces. This is an older ledger and music. This is a really pretty vintage lace that I just stitched on. And then this is the last signature. So this is, the two middle signatures, these florals are from a different book. The front and the back, these are Edith Holden. Yeah, Edith Holden book pages. And then I made a little pretty lace pocket here with some more printables from the Graphics Fairy. I love these. I love these colors. And I think it would be really cool. I just didn't want to do everything. Like, no, these came from that paper line. But the Graphics Fairy has some similar to this too. So you could back these. You know, it's already got, these are double-sided, but you could back those with some ledger or whatever, or make it, you know, add something to it, make tags out of it. Here's a little rusty safety pin and a little extra button envelope, and there's a button in there. And this is from the old magazine. I just thought it was really cool. One of these old. This is a morning prayer from one of the, why is it when I do a video, my mind goes blank, y'all? From the Ideals. This is another one of those flyleaf pages. And then this is some vintage trim. Another wallpaper pocket and some more of that hymnal, French hymnal music stuck in there. And then this flips out, and I just put a little, this is actually an old rusty paper clip, not one that I rusted. This is, I think, is like a rice paper. Yeah. More from that really old 20s recipe book. Other sewing books. And then here on this particular tea-dyed paper from Renee, I stitched on a piece of this antique lace. And you know, really, going back, I think it would have been really cool as a belly band too, but I think it's really pretty. More recipe, coffee dyed paper or tea dyed paper from Renee, and then vintage buttons in the signature. There's some other little things tucked in here. I'm trying to hurry up, y'all. Yeah, so this is from a little calendar book. Some more vintage recipes. And then back here, in this little flip, I clipped in some other things for you to use. Some vintage book page, ledger, another piece of wallpaper, a piece of that paper from the postage stamp book. Just some little bits there for you to use. Another little this is a little vintage flashcard, and this came from the paper, that Craft Consortium paper line. Sewing book. Well, the other side of the signature. You get the idea. Here I did a little, just two little pieces and tucked up there. I thought maybe you could add some more lace. This was getting really chunky, so I had to kind of chill a little bit. Another tag that I made with the wallpaper and just a little scrap of lace and one of Tim Holtz florals. I love these magazine pages. And then music page. And then this flips out at the back. Yeah, I just stitched it to that Edith Holden page. And then there's a couple other things back here in this pocket. So, that is this Chunky Monkey journal. And please let me know what you think. I do want to make some more similar to this. I've got some, I've got some other ideas. I'm really inspired by Heather. And some other ladies out there. All you ladies that do the vintage stuff, I'm just always amazed by you guys. And truly inspired by it. So, I hope you guys like this. Let me know. And like I said, when this video goes up, this will be in my Etsy shop if you're interested. And I hope you all are doing well and are having a good day, a good week. And I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.